Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. It's so great to see you and I hope you're doing well. So today is another fluid art creation and my colour palette is blues. I'm also going to probably add a couple more colours in as well as the blues, but I will take you down in a minute so you can see those colours and the canvas that I'm using. I'll also talk about the technique shortly, but I just wanted to show you this colour. So this is a metallic blue. This is a metallic blue by Amsterdam and it's the first time I'm using this colour. So I'm excited to use my colour. There's quite a lot of it there, so you might guess what technique I'm going to do. And I'm so excited just to experiment with how that metallic will work with some of my other colours. So if there's other colours you'd like me to experiment with this year, then please drop them in the comments below. Let me know your ideas. I'm happy to always try a colour palette if those colours are available to me in the UK. So I'm ready to paint. I'm so excited and I'm so glad that you're here with me. So without further ado, let's see what we can create. So here we go. Here's the brands of the paint that I'm using. You can see that I'm mainly using Amsterdam by Royal Talens. And I'm also using an Arteza. It's a pearl glacier blue and it's gorgeous, it's stunning. So I wanted to throw this one into the mix as well. I'm also going to add in a black and white. That's again by Amsterdam, titanium white, lamp black. I'm using a metallic blue. This is the first time I'm using this colour. I'm really excited for that. One of my favourites, the Prussian blue. I love Prussian blue. I've got a King's blue and then a blue light, a sky blue light by Amsterdam. So they're my colours. I will list everything in the description box. Let me just show you the consistencies. So they're all mixed up. I've got my black and my white and then all of my blues. So you can see here all the different tones of the blue. One of my favourites is the Prussian blue. This one's the metallic blue, which is the new one that I'm using. Can't wait to use that. I've got my King's blue here. And it's basically, you can see here, runs off the spatula and disappears. That's the kind of consistency you're looking for. 1 part paint, 1 part water, 3 parts pouring medium. And that's the same for each of these colours. So this here is the Arteza. So that's the pearl Arctic blue. Very, very similar to Amsterdam's skylight blue. So when I'm using both of these together, I don't necessarily want them to sit next to each other. I'll use the other blues, the bit of black and white to also break up those colours. But I'm really excited for this. There's my colours. There are the brands. Let's go. So I'm going to start this process by first of all placing my gloves on my hands. I just want to protect my skin from the acrylic paint and the pouring medium. So I'm all ready to go and I'm going to focus on the centre of the canvas. I'm not going to worry too much about puddling right to the edges because as we add the puddles onto the canvas in the centre, when we go to stretch out the paint, we will minimise any wastage and we don't need those puddles right at the edges anyway, because when we stretch it out, we will get full coverage of the canvas. So I'm going to take each colour one by one and start puddling the paint on the canvas. There's no set routine to this. I'm just placing those puddles in random areas on the canvas. And this is one of my most favourite colours. The Prussian blue I absolutely love. But I do need to be mindful that the Prussian blue itself is not an opaque colour. In fact, it's semi-opaque. So it does mean that if that paint is on the canvas and doesn't mix with any other opaque colour, you're going to be able to see through that paint onto your canvas. So you might see some of that canvas underneath. So that's one thing that I'd really say to you. When you're working out your colour palette, bear in mind what colours are opaque, what colours are semi-opaque, and what colours are transparent. And work out how much of each you want. I want good coverage on this canvas, so I do have some of my colours as opaque, which means that no other colour will be seen through it. So just bear that in mind when you're constructing your colour palette and when you're layering any colours in the future, whether it be in a cup or on the canvas itself. This one is the metallic blue that I've not yet tried, and I'm so excited to see how it's going to contrast with all those other blues, along with that black and white that I'm also going to add within this colour palette. So we're just going to continue puddling the paints in the centre of the canvas, taking the colours one by one. What we'll do then is we will then drop a marble into those puddles and use that marble to create lines across all of those puddles. The marble will travel from one puddle to another, taking the paint with it as it goes. But let's just finish now puddling the colours on the canvas before we continue with the process. So there's my puddles. I've got my marble and I'm just going to drop it there onto the paint. I'm going to pick up my canvas, and the process now is just to allow that marble to travel from one puddle to another. And as it goes through those puddles, it takes some of the paint that it travels through and takes it to another puddle. But the marble itself is creating lines. So when we go to stretch out the canvas and really open up the pattern that we're creating, those lines are also going to expand. So we're going to have a balance of lineage and block colour. I'm nearly finished with my marble because I don't want too many lines, but I do want enough lines on there to be able to create a really interesting pattern. So I'm just going to finish off moving the marble from one puddle to another, allowing that paint to travel with that marble. And then once I've finished with the marble, I'll just take it off the canvas and I'll take you in for a closer look at the pattern that we've created by just using that marble. And that pattern was created by puddling those paints on the canvas, placing the marble within those puddles and then just tilting the canvas from side to side. When using the marble, my advice to you is just take your time. There's really no rush within this process, so just tilt the canvas slowly from side to side, allowing that marble to travel. The torch is to pop any air bubbles, and as you can see here, all those lines that have been created by infusing that paint together using the marble as it's been tilted from side to side on the canvas. And it's now about opening up that pattern even further, being sure to stretch those lines and those shapes that have already been made using that marble. But first of all, I'm just going to add a couple more colours around the edge. I'd really like some more paint on my canvas to allow that pattern in the middle, so those puddles that we've created, some flow across that canvas. And just by adding a little bit more volume of paint around that pattern will allow us to stretch out that creation, stretch out that pattern and that design to keep its form within the middle. So I do want to open up the lines, but I also want some more paint to help that flow of paint as well. And now it's really about stretching that paint fully across that surface area, down the sides, and looking at the overall composition. When I talk about the composition, it's about getting that balance between all those lines that were created with the marble and those blocks of colour that weren't touched with the marble. So we're just going to stretch our canvas out, tilting it from side to side, and also placing it back down on the table and having a look at the overall composition before we continue tilting. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and also let me know in the comments below what you think of this creation so far. I absolutely love blues, and by adding just a little bit of black and white within this palette, it's going to really help those other blues contrast together. So again, it's not about rushing this process. It's about taking your time, really looking at how that paint moves across your canvas, really looking at those lines and those patterns really opening up as you stretch that paint across that surface area, and then tilting some of that design and pattern down the edges for it to be able to continue not only on the surface area, but down those deep edges too. I'm loving the pattern that's been created. I'm just going to push that off the edge and place it back on my table, and I'm going to now take you in for a closer look at the wet version. As we go in, have a look at those lines that have been created. Have a look at some of those blocks of colour, especially in this section here, where we can see all those different tones of blue really working well together. And then as we travel over to this part, you can see where that marble has created all that detail, all those lines together just flowing. So that was the wet version, and here is the dry version. It's not yet varnished. I varnish all my paintings outside in the warmer weather, and at the moment we're going through a really cold spell here in the UK, so I've got a pile of paintings to varnish. But once the varnish is applied, it'll have a gloss varnish over the top, and those blues will shimmer and shine even more than they do now. And I love the balance that we've got here with the blues, the white and the black. I really love all those lines that marble has created, and I'm so proud at how this has turned out. Blues are always so much fun to work with, and I always feel that it's one of those go-to palettes where I just want to have a bit of fun and see how it turns out. This area here really is my favourite because of all those lines that were created with the marble. And there's so many details when you really look at the depth of this piece. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've had so much fun and I hope you have too. Let me know if you're going to try something similar and what colour palettes you'd like me to use in the future. I'd love to hear your ideas and your suggestions. Have a great week ahead. Take care of yourself, and I hope I get to see you again in the next video. See you soon, everyone. Bye.